started on primitives and variables in this tutorial, we'll go back to scripts.js. I'm just going to delete this for now. Variables are basically containers that hold values for us to use within our code. In JavaScript, they are defined in 3 ways. The first way is with the var keyword. So we type var for variable, and then we specify a name for that variable. I'm just going to call this var1. It can be anything you wish except for a few rules which we'll get into in a minute. So I'm going to set the value of var1 to a number, and then I'm just going to type console.log, and within the parentheses I'm going to add the name var1 into the parentheses. I'll save this, go back to our browser. Now we need to bring up the console for the browser. In Chrome, we right click, click inspect, and then we navigate from elements, which is displaying our HTML, to console. In order for us to run the code we've just created, we'll just hit refresh, and now the console is logging the value that we stored in our var1 variable. We can change this to a string. Refresh, and now we are displaying the new value held in that container. A few rules regarding naming variables. We can't use reserve keywords such as var to define a variable. I'll save this, and this should throw an error. Unexpected token var. There are various other keywords you can't use. We can't use new. We can't use this. And there are various others that we can't use. So if you ever get an error like that, that's a reserved keyword, and just name it to something else. We can, however, use var1 regardless of whether or not it has the actual value in it, as long as it follows the naming conventions defined by the other rules. The second rule is you can't create a variable name that begins with a number. I'll save this, run our code, and we get an invalid or unexpected token error. We can, of course, type one variable. This will work fine. And also, we can't use spaces. And we can't use hyphens. if you need to separate words when defining variables, you can use underscore or use camel case, where every word is defined with a capital letter at the beginning. Also, variable names are case sensitive. We've got var1 here, and if we type var1 in capital letters, then this will also work. We can define variables with the keyword var, and we can also use let as well as an additional one, which we'll get to in a minute. When we define a variable with a let's keyword, we are able to access the value of the container and change it. We access the variable by typing its name, and then we can use the equal sign to set it to something new. So here we've defined our variable name with the keyword let's. We've assigned it a value, and here we've accessed whatever is in the container and we've changed it to this new value. We can also not specify a value when we first create a variable with the keyword let. I'll save this. Here we've created a variable but not assigned it a value, and then we've set the value. I'm going to delete where we specify the value of string 1, and I'm going to log out the value that string 1 produces when we haven't set a value. As you can see, it's currently undefined. The third keyword we can use is const. I'm going to assign a name and I'm also not going to set a value for const, and we'll see what happens. Refresh that, and now we've got a missing initializer in the const declaration. This is because once a value for a const variable has been defined, it can't be changed, unlike with the let's keyword. So if we assign the const var a value, can save this. And now we're logging into the console the value of const var. If we want to change the value of const var, we're going to receive another error, as we cannot redefine what a constant variable holds, unlike with our let's keyword.